You're looking at a jar of Vaseline that costs $4 at any pharmacy in America. And sitting next to it in every kitchen on earth is half a lemon. Two ingredients combined cost under $5. And what they do together to aging skin, chapped lips, and scratched lenses is something the skincare industry has spent decades hoping you would never figure out. Because the alternative they're selling you is a $60 anti-aging moisturizer that shares 3 of its 5 active mechanisms with this combination. The clinical language on the back of that bottle is impressive. The chemistry behind it is not complicated, and once you understand what petroleum jelly actually does at the surface of human skin and what citric acid does to the layer underneath, you will never look at either of these things the same way again. This is not a beauty tip. This is material science applied to your skin. Stick with me. Here is where Vaseline actually comes from, because most people have no idea, and the origin changes everything about how you think about it. Petroleum jelly was discovered in 1859 by a chemist named Robert Chesebro. He was visiting oil fields in Titusville, Pennsylvania, and he noticed something strange. The oil rig workers kept complaining about a black, waxy residue that built up on their drilling rods, but they were also rubbing it on their cuts and burns, and those wounds, they said, healed faster. Chesebro spent the next 11 years refining that residue, removing impurities, lightening the color, and testing the result obsessively. He was so convinced of its safety that he reportedly ate a spoonful of it every day and lived to 96. In 1872, he patented the process and named the product Vaseline from the German word for water and the Greek word for oil. Within a decade, it was in virtually every household in America. What Chesebro had discovered was a semi-solid mixture of hydrocarbons, molecules that sit in a chain between liquid oil and solid wax that creates one of the most effective occlusive barriers known to dermatology. Occlusive is the key word. Vaseline does not moisturize your skin directly. What it does is create a physical seal over the surface of your skin that prevents transepidermal water loss, the process by which your skin constantly loses moisture to the air around it. Under that seal, your skin retains its own moisture and repairs itself. Dermatologists call this effect occlusivity. The British Journal of Dermatology has documented petroleum jelly as one of the most effective occlusive agents available, reducing transepidermal water loss by up to 98% in laboratory conditions. Hospitals use it on burn patients. Pediatricians recommend it for infant skin, and it has been doing this since 1872. But here is what petroleum jelly cannot do on its own. It cannot penetrate the outer layer of the epidermis. It sits on top, it seals and protects, but it does not reach the dermis where collagen is produced. It does not exfoliate the dead skin cells that accumulate on the surface and make skin look dull, rough, and uneven. It does not address hyperpigmentation. It does not stimulate cellular turnover. That is where the lemon enters the picture and the chemistry shifts entirely. Lemon juice is approximately 5 to 8% citric acid by volume. Citric acid is an alpha hydroxy acid, a class of compounds that has been used in dermatology since the 1970s, when dermatologist Dr. Eugene Van Scott first documented their ability to accelerate cellular turnover by breaking the bonds between dead skin cells on the surface of the epidermis. Alpha hydroxy acids work by weakening the chemical connections between corneocytes, the dead cells that form the outer protective layer of your skin, which causes them to slow off more rapidly and expose the fresher, smoother cells underneath. Glycolic acid, lactic acid, mandelic acid, these are all alpha hydroxy acids. You will find them listed as active ingredients in products that cost between $40 and $120 per bottle. Citric acid is the same class of compound, same mechanism, derived from a fruit you can buy at any grocery store for under $1. Beyond exfoliation, lemon juice contains vitamin C in the form of ascorbic acid. Vitamin C is one of a small number of compounds with documented evidence for inhibiting tyrosinase, the enzyme responsible for melanin production. Melanin is what creates dark spots, age spots, and uneven skin tone. Studies published in the Journal of Clinical and Aesthetic Dermatology have confirmed that topical vitamin C application reduces hyperpigmentation by suppressing tyrosinase activity. The concentrations in those studies are higher than what you get from fresh lemon juice, but regular application over time produces a cumulative effect on surface discoloration. Now here is what happens when you combine the two. The citric acid exfoliates the dead surface layer and allows the petroleum jelly to seal over skin that has already been cleared. Instead of locking moisture into a layer of dead cells, you are locking it into fresh skin. The occlusive barrier created by Vaseline then keeps the vitamin C in contact with the skin surface for longer than it would stay on its own, which increases its effective contact time. You have built a two-stage delivery system from a drugstore shelf in a fruit bowl. The preparation method matters more than most people realize, and this is where the actual technique separates results from disappointment. You take a full teaspoon of Vaseline and you need to thin it slightly because petroleum jelly at room temperature has a viscosity that resists mixing with a water-based liquid like lemon juice. The heat step is what makes this work properly. You place a small bowl containing the Vaseline inside a larger bowl filled with boiling water. This is the double boiler principle, the same method confectioners use to melt chocolate without burning it. Within a few minutes, the Vaseline softens into a near liquid state. Now, when you add half a tablespoon of freshly squeezed lemon juice and stir, the two actually incorporate. Bottled lemon juice will not give you the same result. The ascorbic acid in fresh lemon degrades rapidly once exposed to air. Bottled lemon juice has been oxidized. Squeeze it fresh and use it immediately. Apply a thin layer to clean skin, face, and neck after removing any makeup. Leave it for 10 minutes, not longer in the beginning, because citric acid is a real acid and extended contact on sensitive skin can cause irritation, particularly around the eye area where the skin is thinner. Rinse with clean water. The skin you are touching afterward will feel different. That is not a subjective impression. That is the surface texture changing because the outermost layer of dead cells has been loosened and the moisture barrier underneath has been reinforced. Use this twice a week. Consistent application over 4 to 6 weeks is where the cumulative effect of the vitamin C on surface pigmentation becomes visible. This is not an overnight transformation, it is a chemical process that works on a cellular timescale. Now here is the second application, and it works through a different mechanism entirely. The lips are a unique surface. They have no sweat glands, no sebaceous glands, no ability to self-lubricate the way the rest of your skin does. The outer layer of lip tissue is extremely thin, which is why they show dehydration, cracking, and aging so quickly. The standard response to chapped lips is to apply a lip balm, which mostly contains petroleum jelly anyway, but without the exfoliation step that would allow moisture to actually reach the tissue underneath the dry outer surface. The lip scrub combination addresses this directly. Vaseline as the occlusive base, fine sugar as the physical exfoliant. The sugar crystals are small enough to remove dry surface tissue without tearing the underlying skin, which is soft and vascular. A few drops of almond oil adds linoleic acid and oleic acid, fatty acids that have been shown in dermatological research to support the lipid barrier of skin. Pure aloe vera gel adds a mucopolysaccharide compound that draws moisture from the environment and holds it against the skin surface, a mechanism called humectancy, which is the opposite of occlusion. Together you have an occlusive, a humectant, a physical exfoliant, and a fatty acid barrier in one preparation. Apply this to lips, rub gently for about 30 seconds, and leave it for 10 minutes before rinsing. What you are doing is removing the dead outer layer, flooding the exposed tissue with moisture from two different delivery mechanisms, and then sealing it under a lipid barrier. Lips treated this way genuinely feel different within a single application, not because of anything exotic, but because the chemistry is correct. Now, the third use of this combination is the one that surprises most people because it has nothing to do with skin at all. Scratched eyeglass lenses. This is a real problem with a specific chemical explanation for why it works. The scratch on a lens is a microscopic channel in the surface material, a physical groove that scatters light and causes the visual distortion you see. What petroleum jelly does is fill that channel. It has a refractive index of approximately 1.46, which is close to the refractive index of standard polycarbonate lens material at approximately 1.50. When petroleum jelly fills a shallow scratch, it reduces the light scattering at that groove because the optical difference between the filler and the lens material is much smaller than the optical difference between air and lens material. the scratch does not disappear. The optical disruption caused by the scratch is reduced because the air pocket inside the groove has been replaced with a material that bends light similarly to the lens itself. This is the principle behind anti-scratch coatings. They are thin films applied to lens surfaces precisely because consistent refractive index across the lens surface is what allows clear vision. The toothpaste component in this application adds microabrasion. Toothpaste, specifically non-gel white toothpaste, contains calcium carbonate or hydrated silica as its abrasive component. These are fine polishing compounds, the same category of materials used in commercial lens polishing kits. Applied to a scratched lens with a soft cloth, they very gently abrade the high points around the scratch channel, smoothing the edges and reducing the surface irregularity that causes the most severe light scattering. The Vaseline then fills the remaining groove. Mix the two in equal proportions, apply to the lens with a fingertip. Wait 20 minutes. Then wipe with a microfiber cloth in circular motions, not a paper towel. The fiber structure of a microfiber cloth is designed to pick up particles rather than drag them across a surface, which is what a paper towel does. On shallow surface scratches, the improvement is visible. On deep scratches that penetrate the anti-reflective coating, the effect is partial. It reduces visual distortion but does not eliminate it. This works on glass and standard polycarbonate lenses. Do not use it on lenses with specialty coatings like blue light filter films or photochromic technology because the toothpaste abrasion may damage those applied films. A tube of toothpaste costs $2, a jar of Vaseline costs $4, a lemon costs 60 cents. The total material cost of everything described here is under $7, and the active chemistry behind each of these applications is the same chemistry used in dermatology clinics, optical shops, and pharmacy brand skincare lines at $40 to $120 per product. The next time you walk past those shelves, you will see the ingredients listed on the back of those bottles differently. You will recognize the alpha hydroxy acid. You will recognize the petrolatum, which is just the INCI name for petroleum jelly. You will recognize the ascorbic acid. They are all there listed in order of concentration, buried under a brand name and a clinical sounding descriptor. The knowledge was always available, it was just never assembled in one place and handed to you directly. Now it has been. If this gave you something useful, share it with someone who has been buying the expensive version without knowing the alternative has been sitting in their bathroom cabinet the entire time. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.